Hello and welcome to RickyJordan.com. Today we're going to start a new series of videos here at the website for SOLIDWORKS routing, in particular the electrical flavor of SOLIDWORKS routing. For the first example today, what we're going to do is just basically show how to, on the fly, very quickly create a 3D harness. Now in this instance we really don't have any electrical information, no from to list or anything like that to start from. So in the example that I have shown here, we've got an electrical enclosure. We've got a couple of connector cutouts, some DB9 cutouts on this side, some DB37 connector cutouts on the other, a couple of terminal blocks that are going to be used as part of the harness, and also some wire tie clips, which you see are strategically placed in the internals here. Now this is a wire tie clip that's included in the base install. So wire tie clip is the part name, and that's included on every install in the harnessing electrical folder. So I brought that in and used that in this example. So to start with here, I've set up a routing, little routing demo folder here in the design library to pull my parts from, and I'm going to start out here, we're going to zoom in and go ahead and grab a DB9 female connector. We've got smart mates in place here. It allows me to place that connector. Now because this connector had a connection point in it, it's going to kick me into the auto route command to start with. I'm not ready to auto route just yet. I've got some more components to place, but note that a 3D harness assembly has been created in the feature tree there. So let's drop in the second DB9, and since it's not auto routing to start here, I was able to drop two consecutively there with no problem. So let's spin around, go back to our design library, and drop in a 37-pin connector on this opposite face. Again, smart mates are taking effect here, and note that because these connectors have connection points in them, we see the little stubs that are being created here. I can also take advantage of these connection points that are part of the terminal blocks. Even though these terminal blocks are in the top level assembly, I can come in and simply use the add to route command to add these connection points to this existing route, because we know we've got wires in this harness that are going to run to these terminal blocks. So we're going to zoom back out a little bit here and go ahead and prep for the start of our routing. So to begin routing, what we're going to do is go to one of these stubs, and we're going to just start off with this first DB9 connector here. We know that this first connector is going to route over to this terminal block. So I'm going to right click and go ahead and initiate the auto route command, and I'm going to pick this point to connect to start with. And I also want to tree off and route to the other 2 points. So I'm just going to simply use the endpoint connections to connect these 2 stubs directly to this route. And you can see it's just simple picking points with a route are allowing me to do this. Let me start with the next one. This time I'm going to run through the wire clip, and since it automatically has the proper connection point, which we'll talk about a little bit later in a later post, it automatically senses that and allows me to run the route through. And at this point I want to do the similar thing that I did with the other route, and I want to connect some of these other terminal block connections to kind of tree off and branch out as it comes out of that wire tie clip. So that connection should finish it out here. And the next thing I want to route is going to be over here on the third DB9. Instead of going to these terminal blocks, I'm going to route through the first clip, then to the second clip, and over finally to the third clip, and then up to the 37-pin connection. Now I get a warning here. It's basically some bend radius checks that I have turned on that says that my minimum bend radius is 1/8 of an inch, but currently with this little twist that we have at the end here, this little kink, it's less than that. It's 0.088. So it's just giving me a warning there. We'll worry about that just a little bit later. Now at this point I've got what looks to be three different harnesses, but see, I'm not done yet. I've got some signals that are running from this DB9 over to the 37 pin, as well as some signals from the second DB9 that run over to the 37 pin as well. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start clearing out our auto route. I'm going to route from this point on the first connector over to the route created that runs to the 37 pin. Do the same thing for the second DB9 over to the route for the 37 pin. And what I've done here is very quickly run all of the basic routes for this 3D harness. So I'll go ahead and close out the auto route command. You can see in looking at the assembly structure, what we got here is, since I haven't exited the sketch command, it's still going to show that I've got components, but it does, and this is, by the way, a virtual subassembly inside of this assembly. And as I close out this 3D sketch, it's going to automatically create my route part, which is another virtual part inside of that virtual subassembly, which contains the 3D solid data for the route itself. And all of it is connected through that route sketch, which is defined in context of that virtual subassembly, which will allow me to put all of my wiring information in. So we're going to do that in a little later post, just so we don't keep you here for a very long time in this video. So anyway, thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned. More to come.